Hey guys, Leo here, friendly admin. I welcome everybody who's joined the community recently, and I have made some changes to the Discord. I hope that they are appreciated. I think they'll grow on people as time goes on. But in there is a World of Vision channel, and I just thought I would make a nice video to explain to some of the new guys who have joined us sort of what Vasingtonia is. So let's jump into it, right? I think that when people first arrive, there's obviously underlying assumptions. Many people have obviously played on other servers before. Vasingtonia is not just an eco server with a few different rules, right? It is a very deliberate attempt to challenge the way that people have been trained to play the eco. A lot of players arrive with the prior experience of other servers. Some of those experiences were frustrating, some were boring, some were economically broken, some taught people that if they want to have anything done, they have to do everything themselves. Some taught people that profit is bad, that prices should be as low as possible. I mean, you guys might know what I'm talking about with the 1 cent economy. That everyone should sell everything for almost nothing, and that the economy is just like a decorative layer rather than actually a core facet of the game. Then those players arrive here carrying those assumptions of how other eco servers have run, and they say things, this is how servers normally do it, this is how an economy should work, particularly when laced with real life economics. This is how towns need to be placed and how roads need to be built, and this is how specializations and should be limited and stars should be accessed, and this is what your scores should be. And there's sometimes a fair amount of technical conversation around how the server needs to be set up and especially how pricing should work. And I understand where this comes from because people are usually not saying it out of nowhere. They are bringing in prior server norms, prior frustrations, prior preferences, and sometimes, if not a lot of the time, prior disappointment. Now, Vasingtonia exists specifically because many of these norms you see on other servers do not work. The normal eco server economy often collapses into a race to the bottom. People sell materials for almost nothing. Finished goods get priced without even properly accounting for inputs and outside factors other than the cost of goods themselves, like building, like the cost of acquiring or manufacturing your workbenches, your players' food, your player housing, your labor even, replacement costs for things such as tool repairs, or you've now got workbenches with items within them that need to be replaced every now and then. I've forgotten the word for it. It's gone. Or even future progression. If you want to buy the skill in the market, how much does that cost? Nobody makes meaningful profit a lot of the time. And then people wonder why the economy is dying. Why people aren't trading with each other and why everyone is becoming self-sufficient and players drift away, and kind of why you end up on a multiplayer server with people essentially being so self-sufficient they're not really trading with each other at all. And it's not a mystery. I mean, if players can't profit, then they cannot properly participate. If players cannot participate, they become isolated. And if they become isolated, they will obviously, and I think everyone can agree on this, vertically integrate. And if they vertically integrate, the economy gets thinner. And if the economy gets thinner, the server starts to feel dead, right? Like there's a lot of people playing here, but not much is happening. Then the same people who created that economy come out and say, well, eco will always end up like this, or even worse, they'll say this is how it has to be. You have to put your prices really low. You have to vertically integrate to be able to play the game. And Vasingtonia is designed from the ground up to interrupt that pattern. That is why we have, minimum profit expectations, that when you have fast consumables or construction materials such as hewn log or food, that it have a minimum 10% profit. And that 10% profit wasn't placed there to dictate. It was placed there because we did the math and we found out that's what you need as a minimum. That is why we treat the economy seriously. That's why we care deeply about pricing. And that's why we want people We don't want people collapsing every profession into one private mega operation. Like you've seen it where I'm sure all of you have gone onto another server and you've seen one guy who has like all the workshop material in one building and he's just going out mining the iron ore and coming back and doing everything himself and making his own steam trucks. That's why Vasingtonia exists, to solve these sort of coordination failures that players can't effectively solve themselves. And don't get me wrong, it takes a specific set of skills and observation to be able to see this stuff. And for a lot of players who've played here, once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. So these rules and the community constitution and the things that we push, they're not simply for the sake of control. And I know it might seem like that, and a lot of players are like, you just want to take control. Hang on a minute. We've got a method to our madness, and there's a reason behind it, and a lot of evidence and data. When we say a business should make a minimum margin, we're not saying that because we want the game to be harder, right? I mean, we do want the game to be slightly harder. We want it to be a healthy challenge. We want it to be a healthy challenge and not a detrimental challenge. We're saying it because a shop that's not priced properly is often not actually a business. It's a slow motion charity service that eventually burns out the player, distorts the market, and then teaches everyone to devalue their own work. And you see this on multiple servers where they say very specifically, calories aren't factored into the pricing. The building and construction materials are not factored into the pricing. The crop is 1 cent, and I need 3 crops. Therefore, the meal should be 5 cents. That is ridiculous. You have to now sell 20 meals just to make a dollar, and a dollar buys you 1 hewn log. It's not economically feasible. Anyway, I'm going to digress because I'll rant on this for quite some time. When we say vertical integration is restricted by property, shops, stockpiles, and production chains, we're not saying that players are not allowed to be capable. In fact, this is quite the opposite. We're trying to find the middle ground on this. We're saying capability should not remove the need for everyone else. Okay, if we remove the need for everybody else and become efficient, you may as well be playing single player on a multiplayer server. So we're trying, when we centralize certain systems, support systems such as like research, and we regulate access and create some institutions like the bank, we are not trying to turn eco into paperwork. We're trying to stop the game from becoming 20 isolated people quietly grinding in separate corners until they get bored. The game at the end of the day is just a tool. The deeper objective of this community is to challenge and change expectations. So Vasingtonia has asked players to stop assuming the way they learned to play eco elsewhere is the only way. Even if it's the best way, it asks them to try a system where profit is not considered dirty, where loans are not considered difficult or scary, where trade between players actually matters. The government is there for a purpose, not simply for power, and towns have roles. And the economy is not left to collapse under the weight of everybody just trying to vertically integrate and be self-sufficient. And I understand completely that feeling can be uncomfortable at first. It can be a complete tear away at what you know about the game and reality in the game. It can feel strange when prices are higher than expected. It can be disastrous when a new player walks into the server and they see a skid steer there for $1 million. And they go, oh my God, WTF. But let me tell you, there's a rhythm to the madness. It can feel strange when the server tells you you're not undercutting yourself into poverty. Right? We'll tell you, your shop's not making any money. The economy over here is doing this. Your profits are not 10%. You should probably up it. It can feel strange when the answer is not just do everything yourself. Because to be honest, that answer of I need iron ore and there's iron ore on the market, but I don't want to pay for it. I'm going to go mine my own. Or there's no iron ore on the market. I'm going to go mine my own. I'm going to go make my own steam truck. It doesn't work. It really doesn't. You'll learn why. I can't explain it all in one video. But, it can feel strange when the server says, no, we are not rebuilding a whole model around your previous server experience before you've even tried this one. Yes, we are going to get feedback from players who are new. Yes, we are going to get people come into the community and offer their 2 cents on how a server should be run. We can't cater for everybody. And this is obviously just uncomfortable for some people, but the discomfort is also part of the point. Because once people settle into it, They often understand why the system exists. They see businesses actually making money. They see players buying from each other. They see government systems filling gaps. And they see late joiners specifically able to have a better chance to integrate into the economy when they join at a later date. Because as we all know, day one bias is real. It's absolutely real. They see towns and industries forming around actual economic roles, like the town that does farming, predominantly exports crops, matters in the world and therefore should be handled with care. Not this, every town is a self-sufficient town looking after themselves and that's it. They see the game as not have. They see that the game does not have to collapse into a 1 cent pricing, private hoarding, and dead trade. Like we see this all the time. We see this one guy who's sort of a no-lifer spending 30 hours a day in a game. Yeah, I can do math. There's only 24 hours in a day. I know. And this person will just smash out absolutely everything, and they get bored. They usually end up quitting. And I tell you, this community is not designed for the no-lifer. Right? It's not designed for 1 cent pricing. It is not designed to have a group of 3 or 4 people join and just communicate with each other and just trade with each other and just build themselves. It is not designed for that. And it is not designed to have 10 players play on the server without them talking to each other and trading with each other. Once people see our system, it's difficult to go back. It's hard to unsee what you've seen. And that's why people keep asking for Vasingtonia to come back. Not because Vasingtonia is perfect. I mean, it's not. It's not designed to be perfect. It has a lot of flaws. But not, because every rule or every discussion is flawless. I mean, it's not. I mean, we have discussions all the time around systems. And yes, we're happy to admit when we're wrong and try to improve them. Not because every player agrees with every decision. Let me tell you, majority of people who come here don't agree. They don't think the economy should be run this way. They don't think that a town should be placed there. They don't think that building codes should exist. But really, Vasingtonia gives players a different experience of eco. It breaks the expectation that the economy has to fail and become this $250 steam truck while everybody's jobless environment. Right? The government has purpose. It's not pointless. The government has a purpose. If you don't have that, if you don't fulfill its purpose, the system is designed to let other people take over. Right? Profit is not suspicious. Right? It is a meaningful mechanic in a game that gets you places in the game. It is your vehicle to success and ultimately happiness playing the game. Right? Profit doesn't have to be a bad thing. Making 50% margin on a steam truck, according to our mathematics, is not an insane task. Right? People look at that, they go, oh my God, 50%? That's insane. Yeah, but let me tell you, once you factor in building costs, machine costs, input costs, you are only going to sell a certain handful of steam trucks, and then you are never going to sell them again. Right? Selling a steam truck for $250,000 to $500,000, again, varies depending on world. We don't always use the same pricing structure, but having big numbers and six figures in the price of a steam truck looks daunting. But when the player who makes a steam truck is actually making money, they can play the game. They can trade with someone else. Feedback is always welcome. Critique is always welcome. Suggestions are obviously welcome. But Vasingtonia is not a blank template world. It is not here to become a copy of every other server that has already produced the same problems we are trying to solve. And we see this again and again and again and again. If you are joining us, I am asking you, try the model. Not just the mechanics, try the model. Try the economy before assuming that it's wrong. Try the pricing structure before assuming it's excessive. Right, and don't you dare use the word inflation. I've had that many conversations with people about the definition of words. There's really no inflation in eco, and we can debate that off video. There's no inflation in eco. At one time in 5+ years of hosting, have I actually seen a player raise their price intentionally because of money circulation? I've never seen it otherwise. Anyway, try the trade network ideal. Try a town having a purpose and fulfilling an export demand before assuming that self-sufficiency is safer, right? Try Vasingtonia as Vasingtonia, because the entire point is to show that eco can be played differently and that different can be better. Anyway, enjoy. Feel free to message me on any of these Discord channels as required. I have done a fair bit to redo the Discord. I hope people like it, and I hope things are a bit more clearer. So reach out if you need anything.